Chapter 1. Unruly Eyebrows. Oh, eyebrows. Who would have thought that these small tufts of hair above our eyes could cause so much confusion? I, Joe Smith, with my 75 years behind me, learned this the hard way. I remember it as if it were yesterday. It was my dear sister Martha's 80th birthday. I was all excited for the party. I put on my best shirt, ran a comb through my hair and looked in the mirror. That's when I got a shock. Who was that old man with disheveled eyebrows staring back at me? My goodness, it looked like I had two wild bushes growing above my eyes. Some hairs were so long they almost touched my eyelashes. Others pointed in completely random directions. It was as if my eyebrows had decided to throw their own party, and I hadn't been invited. At that moment I realized I had neglected an important part of my face for years. You know, when we're younger, eyebrows behave. But as we age, they take on a life of their own. The hairs get thicker, longer, and seem to have a will of their own. It's like they want to make up for the hair we're losing on top of our heads. I decided right then and there that it was time to take action. But how? I had never messed with my eyebrows before. In my day, that was a woman's thing. But times have changed, and I needed to change too. I asked for help from my granddaughter, Jenny. She's one of those modern young women who understand these beauty things. She explained, with all the patience in the world, that taking care of eyebrows wasn't complicated at all. In fact, it was quite simple. First, she showed me how to use a small scissors to trim the longer hairs. "Grandpa," she said, "just follow the natural line of the eyebrow. You don't need to take off much, just enough to make it look tidy." Then she took out tweezers. I confess I was a little scared at first. I thought it was going to hurt, but Jenny assured me it wasn't a big deal. She started removing some hairs that were out of place, those that grew alone far from the rest of the eyebrow. It was quick, and to my surprise, I hardly felt anything. Finally, she introduced me to something called eyebrow gel. I'd never heard of it before. It's a kind of clear gel that helps keep the hairs in place. Jenny applied a little to my eyebrows, brushing the hairs up, and then in the direction of my ears. The result was incredible. My eyebrows looked organized and well-groomed. When we finished, I looked in the mirror and could hardly believe it. It was really me there, but I looked a good few years younger. The tidy eyebrows gave my face a cleaner, more cared-for look. My eyes seemed more open and expressive. It was as if I had removed an embarrassing curtain from in front of my eyes. Since that day, taking care of my eyebrows has become part of my routine. Every morning, after coffee, I take a look in the mirror. If I see any rebellious hair, I grab the little scissors right away. Once a week, I apply the gel to keep everything in place. And you know what? It's become almost like therapy for me. It's a little moment I have with myself, taking care of my appearance. The funniest thing was seeing people's reactions. At Martha's party, everyone noticed there was something different about me. My sister even joked, "Hey Joe, what happened? You're looking like a soap opera star." We laughed a lot, but deep down I really felt more confident and lively. I learned that taking care of eyebrows isn't vanity, it's self-care. It's a way of showing respect for yourself and others. After all, who said only young people can care about their appearance? We, the more experienced ones, also deserve to feel good about what we see in the mirror. And there's more. Taking care of my eyebrows made me pay more attention to other aspects of my appearance that I had been neglecting. I started shaving more carefully, combing my hair better, choosing clothes that made me look more presentable. All of this made a big difference in my daily life. Now, whenever I meet a friend my age with misaligned eyebrows, I give a discreet tip. I share what I learned from Jenny. Some are surprised at first, others even laugh. But when they try it, they realize the difference it makes. It's amazing how such a small detail can change our appearance so much, and consequently how we feel. Taking care of eyebrows taught me that aging gracefully doesn't mean stop taking care of yourself. On the contrary, it means adapting our care to the changes that time brings. So, my dear friends of the best age, if you haven't paid attention to your eyebrows yet, it's time to start. You don't need anything complicated. A small scissors, tweezers, and if you want, a little gel. With these simple tools, you can make a big difference in your appearance. Remember, we're not trying to look younger than we are. We're just taking care of ourselves, showing that age is no excuse for neglect. On the contrary, with age comes wisdom, including the wisdom to take better care of ourselves. And who knows? Maybe you also have a granddaughter like Jenny, willing to teach some modern tricks. Or maybe you can be the one teaching friends how well-groomed eyebrows can make all the difference. In the end, what matters is how we feel. And I can say, with all certainty, that I feel much better since I learned to take care of my eyebrows. It's like I've discovered a secret of youth that was right there on my face all along. So the next time you look in the mirror, pay special attention to your eyebrows. You might be surprised at how much a small change can make a big difference. After all, our eyes are the windows to the soul and eyebrows are the curtains of those windows. Let's keep them well groomed, shall we? Chapter 2. Too much cologne. Ah, the smell of youth. Who doesn't remember those times when we thought the more perfume the better? I, Joe Smith, certainly remember. And how I remember. It was on a Sunday afternoon after church that I realized I might have overdone it a little with the cologne. There I was, all happy, greeting acquaintances as we left the church, when I noticed that people seemed to be subtly moving away. At first I thought it was just my imagination, but then my little granddaughter Mary, with that honesty that only children have, said out loud, "Grandpa, you smell like the perfume store at the mall." At that moment, I felt my face heat up with embarrassment. Had I really overdone it? Well, judging by the looks and wrinkled noses around me, the answer was a resounding yes. You see, it's not that I wanted to bother anyone. In my head, I was just trying to smell good and look presentable. After all, wearing a good cologne has always been synonymous with elegance, hasn't it? At least that's what I thought. The problem is that as the years go by, our sense of smell becomes less sensitive. It's as if the volume of our smell radio was slowly turning down. And what do? We turn up the volume, of course. In other words, we put on more and more cologne, without realizing that for others, the smell is getting too strong. Moreover, our skin chemistry changes with age. That cologne we used in our youth that smelled delightful may not blend as well with our body now. It's like trying to wear that shirt from 30 years ago. Sometimes it simply doesn't fit anymore. After that memorable Sunday, I decided it was time to rethink my relationship with fragrances. I asked for help from my son, Charlie, who has always been into fashion and style. Charlie explained that less is more when it comes to fragrances, especially for us more experienced folks. He taught me a simple technique. Instead of spraying the cologne directly on the skin or clothes, I should spray it in the air and walk through the cloud of perfume. This way it leaves a subtle, pleasant fragrance without overdoing it. I also learned that pulse points, those places where we feel our pulse like the neck and wrists, are the best places to apply perfume. The higher temperature at these points helps spread the aroma naturally. Charlie introduced me to some lighter, fresher fragrances, ideal for everyday use. I confess that at first I found it strange. Where was that strong smell I was used to? But gradually I began to realize how much more pleasant it was, both for me and for the people around me. One of the best tips I received was about quantity. "Dad," said Charlie, "2 sprays are enough, one on the neck and another on the wrist. Then just rub your wrists together and you're done." Following this advice, I noticed an immediate change. People no longer moved away when I approached. On the contrary, some even commented on how good I smelled, but in a good way, subtle, elegant. I remember one day, a few weeks later, when I ran into Martha at the market. She came up to greet me and said, "Oh, Joe, what a nice perfume. You smell like a young man." We laughed together and I really felt good about the compliment. This experience taught me that, just like with eyebrows, the secret is in the details. You don't need to douse yourself in perfume to make a good impression. In fact, the opposite is true. A subtle and pleasant aroma says much more about us than a strong and invasive smell. I also learned that it's important to try new fragrances from time to time. Our body changes, our tastes change, so why not change perfumes? We don't need to be stuck with the same cologne we've been using for 40 years. Another interesting thing I discovered is that we can use different fragrances for different occasions. A lighter perfume for everyday use, another slightly more noticeable one for special events. It's like choosing the right outfit for each occasion, but with smells. And you know what? Taking care of how we smell isn't just a matter of vanity. It's a form of respect for others and ourselves. It shows that we care about our presence and the comfort of people around us. Nowadays, when I leave the house, I do my little ritual. 2 little sprays of perfume, no more than that. And I leave confident, knowing that I smell good in just the right measure. I'm no longer that gentleman who made people move away in church. Now, I'm Joe Smith, who always has a pleasant smell, without overdoing it. For my friends of the best age who haven't discovered this secret yet, I always give the same advice. Try using less perfume. You'll be surprised at the difference it makes. People will get closer, hugs will be warmer, and you'll feel more confident. Remember, my dears, the best perfume is the one people smell when they get close to you, not when you enter the room. It's like my dear grandmother used to say, perfume is like seasoning in food. The secret is in the balance. So the next time you're about to put on perfume, think about this. A little fragrance can enhance your presence in a positive way. But excess, well, excess will only make people wrinkle their noses. And that's not what we want, is it? After all, aging gracefully is also about knowing how to adapt. And adapting includes learning to use perfume the right way. Who would have thought that at 75 years old, I would learn such a valuable lesson about colognes? Life never stops surprising us and teaching us, no matter how old we are. Chapter 3. Neglecting hands. You know, my friends, after learning about eyebrows and the use of cologne, I thought I had discovered all the secrets to keeping myself presentable at my age. But life always has something new to teach us, doesn't it? It was on a Sunday afternoon playing dominoes with my old friends at the club that I noticed something I had never noticed before. As I observed the pieces on the table, I couldn't help but notice my companion's hands. And mine, too. My goodness, what a shock! Our hands seemed to tell stories of a lifetime. Dry skin, dark spots here and there, somewhat neglected nails. It was as if our hands had aged much faster than the rest of our bodies. That's when I realized over the years I had completely forgotten to take care of my hands. They, which had worked so hard, which had cradled my children, which had greeted so many friends, were there asking for a little attention. The next day, determined to do something about it, I went to visit my daughter, Anne. She's always been one of those people who understand personal care. I showed her my hands and asked if there was anything I could do. Anne smiled kindly and said, "Dad, it's never too late to start taking care of yourself. Let's start a treatment for your hands today." The first step, she explained, was hydration. Anne gave me a hand cream, one of those really greasy ones. She taught me to apply it every night before bed. At first, I confess I found it a bit strange. After all, hand cream? Wasn't that a woman's thing? But I decided to give it a chance. After just a week, I could already notice the difference. The skin on my hands was softer, less dry. The small cracks I had on my fingers started to disappear. It was as if my hands were rejuvenating. But Anne didn't stop there. She explained about the importance of sunscreen. "Dad," she said, "your hands are always exposed to the sun. When you drive, when you walk, when you take care of the garden, the sun can cause spots and premature aging." I confess I was surprised. I had never thought about using sunscreen on my hands. But I started applying it every day, especially before leaving the house. Over time, I noticed that some of the spots I had started to lighten. Another valuable piece of advice Anne gave me was about nails. She gave me a men's manicure kit. Yes, that exists, and taught me how to keep my nails trimmed and clean. It wasn't complicated at all, just a little attention a few times a week. A tip I found especially useful was the use of gloves. Anne suggested I wear gloves when doing manual work or gardening. At first, I thought it would be uncomfortable, but I soon got used to it. And what a difference it made. My hands were protected from dirt and small scratches. As the weeks passed, I began to notice a significant change. My hands were softer with fewer spots, and well-groomed nails gave an air of cleanliness and care. But most importantly, I felt much better about myself. One domino afternoon, about a month later, my friend John noticed the difference. "Hey Joe," he said, "what's happened to your hands? They look like a young man's hands." We laughed together, and I took the opportunity to share what I had learned. To my surprise, my friends were very interested. Soon we were all exchanging tips about hand care. Who would have thought that a group of elderly gentlemen would spend an afternoon talking about creams and sunscreens? I realized that taking care of hands wasn't just a matter of vanity. It was a form of self-respect, of caring for the body that had served us so well over the years. Besides, well-cared-for hands convey an image of hygiene and attention to detail, something important at any age. An interesting thing I noticed was how this new care affected my confidence. I no longer felt embarrassed when greeting people or gesturing while talking. My hands, which I used to try to hide, were now a source of pride. And you know what? This hand care ended up extending to other aspects of my life. I started paying more attention to my appearance in general, to how I dressed, how I presented myself. It was as if taking care of my hands had opened a door to broader personal care. For my friends of the best age who haven't yet discovered the importance of hand care, I leave some advice. Start today. You don't need anything complicated. A good moisturizer, some sunscreen, and attention to nails already make a big difference. Remember, our hands tell our story. They worked hard, took care of our family, created wonderful things. They deserve all our care and attention. After all, as the old saying goes, a man's hands are his business card. So the next time you look at your hands, think about all the path they've traveled with you and give them the care they deserve. Believe me, it makes all the difference not only in appearance but in how we feel. As the saying goes, it's never too late to start. And I, at 75 years old, can confirm, it's never too late to learn to take better care of yourself. Every little step counts, and taking care of hands is an important step in this journey of aging with grace and dignity. Chapter 4. Neglecting skincare. After learning about eyebrows, proper use of cologne, and the importance of hand care, I thought I had mastered all the secrets to maintaining a good appearance at my age. But as always, life had one more lesson in store for me. It was on a sunny morning when I looked in the mirror to shave that I noticed something that had gone unnoticed for a long time. My skin. It looked tired, with spots here and there, and some wrinkles that seemed to have deepened overnight. I was somewhat shocked. How had I not noticed this before? Of course, I knew that skin ages over time, but I didn't expect it to be so evident. That's when I realized, over the years I had completely forgotten to take care of my skin. I decided it was time to do something about it. But where to start? Fortunately, my daughter-in-law, Sarah, is an esthetician. I decided to ask for her help. When I told her my concern, Sarah smiled kindly. "Dad," she said, "it's never too late to start taking care of your skin. Let's create a simple and effective routine for you." The first step, she explained, was cleansing. Sarah introduced me to a gentle facial cleanser, different from the one I used for my body. "It's important to use products specifically for the face," she said. "The skin on your face is more sensitive." At first, I must admit, I thought it was a bit excessive. After all, soap is soap, right? But after a few days of using the new product, I noticed that my skin seemed cleaner and less irritated after shaving. The next step was moisturizing. Sarah gave me a light facial moisturizer, explaining that I should apply it every morning and night after washing my face. "Hydration is key to keeping skin healthy and preventing dryness," she explained. But the big revelation was sunscreen. "Dad," Sarah said seriously, "the sun is our skin's biggest enemy. It causes spots, wrinkles, and can even lead to more serious problems." She advised me to use sunscreen every day, even when I didn't plan on going out. At first, I found it a bit tedious to follow this routine. Washing my face with a special cleanser, applying moisturizer and then sunscreen, it seemed like a lot. But I decided to give it a chance. After all, what did I have to lose? After a few weeks, I began to notice subtle but significant differences. My skin seemed firmer, with a more even tone. The spots that had bothered me so much started to lighten a bit, and surprisingly, I felt that my skin was more comfortable, less dry. One day, I ran into my old friend Tom at the supermarket. He looked at me curiously and said, "Hey Joe, what have you been doing? You look great." I must admit, I was proud to share my new skincare habits. Over time, this routine became a natural part of my day. It was like brushing my teeth, something I did without even thinking about it. And the benefits went beyond appearance. Taking care of my skin became a moment of self-care, a little time I dedicated to myself every day. I also learned about the importance of a good diet and hydration for skin health. Sarah explained that drinking plenty of water and eating fruits and vegetables helped keep skin healthy from the inside out. A valuable tip I received was about sleep. Getting good sleep, she told me, is crucial for skin renewal. I started paying more attention to my sleep habits and noticed that when I slept better, my skin looked more rested in the morning. As the months passed, I realized that taking care of my skin wasn't just a matter of vanity. It was a form of self-respect, of caring for the body that had accompanied me throughout my life. Plus, well-cared-for skin made me feel more confident and energetic. To my friends of a certain age who haven't yet discovered the importance of skincare, I leave some advice. Start today. You don't need anything complicated or expensive. A good facial cleanser, a simple moisturizer, and sunscreen already make a big difference. Remember, our skin tells our story. It has faced the sun, the wind, the joys and sorrows with us. It deserves all our care and attention. As my grandmother used to say, the skin is the mirror of health. So, the next time you look in the mirror, don't just see the marks of time. See an opportunity to take care of yourself, to treat with kindness the skin that has protected you for so many years. As I learned on this journey, it's never too late to start taking better care of yourself. Every small gesture counts, and taking care of your skin is an important step in aging with health, dignity, and, why not, with a little bit of vanity too. After all, who said only young people can have beautiful skin? We, the more experienced ones, deserve to shine too. And with the right care, we can show the world that beauty has no age. It just transforms just like us. Chapter 5. Outdated hairstyles. My dear friends, after learning about eyebrow care, proper use of cologne, the importance of hand care, and skin maintenance, I thought I had everything in order. But as always, life had one more lesson in store for me. It was on a Saturday afternoon when I went to visit my grandson Bobby at his new barbershop. He had just graduated and was proud of his new business venture. As we chatted, I noticed him looking at my hair with a curious expression. "Grandpa," he finally said, "how long have you been wearing your hair like this?" I was surprised by the question. In fact, I had never really thought about it. My hair was, well, just my hair. I'd been combing it the same way for years, decades perhaps. It was the good old side part that I had been sporting since I was young. Bobby, with all the tact a grandson can muster, suggested, "How about we try something different today, Grandpa? Something more modern that might suit your face better now?" I must admit, I was a bit apprehensive. Change my hairstyle? At my age? It seemed like a crazy idea. But then I remembered all the other changes I had recently made that had worked out so well. Why not give my hair a chance too? "All right, Bobby," I replied. "Let's do it. I trust you." Bobby began by explaining that as we age, our hair changes. It becomes thinner, may turn grey or white, and the shape of our face also changes. "The hairstyle that looked great at 30 might not be the most flattering at 70, he said. He started working, cutting here, trimming there. He explained that a shorter cut on the sides and a bit longer on top could give more volume and movement to my hair, disguising the thinner areas. As Bobby worked, we talked about how hairstyles have changed over the years. We laughed, remembering the pompadours of the 50s, the long hair of the 70s. "Fashion comes and goes, Grandpa," Bobby said, "but the important thing is to find a style that suits you now." When Bobby finished and I turned to the mirror, I could hardly believe it. Was that really me? The new cut seemed to have taken years off my face. My hair looked fuller, more alive. And the best part, I felt more youthful, more confident. "So, Grandpa, what do you think?" Bobby asked anxiously. "My boy," I replied, "I think you just gained a loyal customer." In the days that followed, I noticed how that change in my hair positively affected my self-esteem. I received compliments from friends, and even my wife commented on how I seemed more lively. I learned that updating your look doesn't mean trying to look like a teenager. It's about finding a style that matches who we are now, that enhances our best features, and makes us feel good. Bobby taught me some simple tips for maintaining the new look at home, like using a small amount of pomade to add texture to the hair, or how to comb it to disguise thinner areas. They were simple things, but they made all the difference. To my friends who still hesitate to change their hairstyle, I leave some advice. Give it a chance. Consult a professional. Ask for suggestions. You'll be surprised at how a small change in your hair can refresh your entire appearance. Remember, our hair, like us, evolves over time. There's nothing wrong with adapting our style to match who we are today. As my grandmother used to say, age is in the mind, not in the hair. And you know what? This experience taught me that it's never too late to try something new. Each phase of life brings its own possibilities, including in how we present ourselves to the world. So the next time you pass by a barbershop, why not go in and ask about a new style? Who knows, you might discover a new you waiting to shine. After all, aging gracefully doesn't mean being stuck in the past. It means embracing who we are now with confidence and style. And if a new hairstyle can help us on this journey, why not give it a try? As the saying goes, a change in appearance, a renewal of spirit. And I at 75 can confirm, it's never too late to renew yourself, to reinvent yourself. Each small change is a step towards a better version of ourselves.